Hey you, welcome back to the channel. If you saw my latest video titled What 2019 Means to Me, you know why I'm here. I want to start creating again. I want to get a more consistent flow of what I'm doing. I want to be doing more videos, more photos, more music specifically. But this video is going to relate directly to that 2019 video because I'm going to tell you and show you how I made the music for it. Now, I wanted to do, the typical stock motivational video music, but I knew it wasn't going to be perfect. So I thought if I just compose it myself, then I'll know exactly what I'm getting into and exactly what works for me and what I want to do for the video, what I want to convey. So that's what we're going to do. But before we get into any of that, there's something more important than music. Perfect. Be back in 2 seconds. Right, here we are. Let's jump straight into Logic and see what we've got. Okay, so here we are in Logic. Now, obviously, I wanted the song to be something super epic, really powerful, really big. So I knew already that I needed to have a couple of core things. Obviously, one of them is to have a motif that sort of carries through and develops in certain ways. I did that to start with on a synth, and then moved it to the strings, and then moved it to like the bass line as well, so it all sort of came together. But I'll show you what I mean. So the first instance where it comes in is under here. Just super quiet. Just enough where you can kind of get this rhythm coming in, but you're not overwhelmed by it, and it's not straight away going into the piece with this really fast pace. It's just enough to create this kind of rumbly effect in the background. And then on top of that, you've just got the standard piano line and there, and then we've also got a bunch of effects and whatnot. I'll come back to all these later because these are really interesting to talk about. But for the meantime, as you can see, we've got a couple different versions of the tracks just so that I can, without automating them, just be able to see exactly where everything is and edit it really quickly. So you can already hear that the filter that I put on top of this one has been brought back a lot on here. You can see the change there. There you go. And obviously the volume's been raised as well, so it sort of kicks in a little bit harder this time. Doubled with the strings, I believe. There you go. And like I said, while all this is happening, piano's getting louder with more velocity. You have this little, almost like a timpani, but like just very basic, kind of like a bucket hit kind of thing. There we go. And this is all building up to the, I don't even know if you would call it a drop really, it's just the sort of impactful moment, which is right here. So obviously as you're coming along, you're going to need to build everything. You can see the automation that I've put on these sliders here. And you're going to want to make sure that if you are composing this kind of music that you know exactly how much to add in at one point. You can't just add everything all at once. You kind of have to build it quite generously, and then obviously have all of, like, your main impacts come in here. This is a really nice little tip for when you're composing something that's, obviously this one's only about a minute long, I believe. Now it's, so from the start at 0, it's 1 minute 12 seconds. So especially if you're building something in, a short period of time, but you need there to be a lot more layers, what some people will do is just add loads and loads of different instruments that have the same line done over, piano, guitar, bass, synths, strings, timpani, all this random stuff. But it's good to do that to an extent. So for example, on here I've got an actual bass guitar, a synth, and the strings doing a very similar one. You've got the strings doing it just as single notes instead of double notes, it's just. So if you create a harmony that's going to work, but isn't just a standard, you know, here's your normal notes, here's your third above or your fifth above, and then shift it up and down. If you do something that's a little bit more jumping over the place. So you can hear there's something a little bit different at the end. It doesn't sound like your average harmony, and that's because some of these notes here are being played on both instruments. So if I highlight both of these MIDI tracks, obviously on the MIDI track you've got your high note, high, low, high, low, high, low. And then if I highlight both of them, it will show them both on top of each other to see where they overlap. And if you look on here, you can actually see these are all overlapping. So you have these high and low notes that are way, way further apart than they should be. Just a massive octave, which again can work as a harmony, but if it's just the same note over and over again, it doesn't always work. But because of these notes in the middle, you're actually getting a harmony here and a harmony here. So it's high, low, high, low, high, low, and then high, low. So the highs of this one and the lows of this one are actually the same note. So you get this really cool sounding effect. Side, it's the same kind of idea where you have high, low, high, low, high, low, but they're just about far enough apart where it sounds like one of the parts is just playing these two notes. Obviously, again, if you look at them separately, you get the high and the low. There you go. So you get this nice little harmony that complements the main line just enough, and then also gives the piece a little bit of extra character amongst this mayhem, which is, you know, all of these instruments and all these sound effects kicking in at once. And that is pretty much it. In terms of the creative process and what I've actually added into the track, that's pretty much everything. I hope this video wasn't too long or too boring, but this is just the way I go about things. So I just kind of wanted to get an idea of how I make my music, how I compose stuff, and this is the process I use. But I'm by no means a professional, but I do like to work, and I like to work in this way. So I hope you enjoyed. Obviously, if you did, subscribe. Let me know what you liked and didn't like, and I'll see you probably next week. And it's not just going to be another one of these videos, it's going to be something much bigger, so stay tuned.